turn to page 17 of your iPods. Title the page, Solving Literal Equations. This is going to be new for y'all. What I want you to do is, I want you to write this exactly the way it is. Include the skip lines. When we get to 3 and 4, I have skipped 6 lines, so just know that. So to solve for b, like I said, this is new for y'all. Our whole purpose of this particular problem is to get b by itself. So if you look, here's the letter b. We want that by itself. So we have to move everything else away from it. So the first thing I have to move is this 2a. When I move this 2a over, what's going to happen is it's going to change signs. Last year you guys would see that this is a positive, so you would know to subtract it. This is kind of the same thing, but since we're not going to get a single answer, I'm going to show you just a little bit different. So here I want to get the b by itself, so I'm going to move over the positive 2a, and I'm going to make it a negative 2a. So we're almost by itself. B is almost by itself. So I'm going to rewrite this. And we like the letters and the numbers to be alphabetical. So all I did was switch these two. And now I need to get b by itself. So if I want to get b completely by itself, I have to undo this negative 3. To undo it, I have to divide by negative 3. And I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. So negative 2 divided by negative 3 doesn't reduce, and neither does negative 8 divided by negative 3. Here's essentially what I'm saying. So I've divided every single term by negative 3. So now I'm left with b by itself. And 2 negatives give you a positive. 2 negatives give you a positive. And most likely what you'll see on your EOC test, because these two are 3, you're most likely going to see 2a minus 8c over 3. Oh, that should be a positive. And just in case you don't see why, the 2 negatives positive. Okay, so number 2, we're wanting to do the same thing. We want to get b by itself. On this one, we're actually not going to have to divide at the end because there's no number in front of b, and that's what we want. Remember, if there's not a number in front of b, there's an understood 1. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of this a and this positive 2c. So when this a comes over, it's going to become negative. When this positive 2 comes over, it's going to become negative. So again, we want everything alphabetical. Letters come first, then the numbers. So I have b equals, so alphabetically a comes first, so it's negative a minus 2c, and then the constant comes on its own. So is b by itself? Yes, it is. We're done. This one's a little bit different because we're going to have things that we can combine on this one. So we want to get the a's on one side and everything else on the other. So if you look, I have a b and the a that I need to switch places. And what they're going to do is, again, anytime you go over the equal sign, the sign has to change. So this is 6a. This was a -2, so on this side it's going to be a +2. The b is going to come over negative, and the c is just going to come down for the ride. So 6 plus 2 is 8. There's nothing to combine here. So unlike this one up here, where you're going to have the same denominator and we were able to combine it, this one isn't going to work quite like that for us. So we're going to divide everything by 8. So our answer is going to be A equals -b over 8. Now 2 divided by 8 is 1/4. And that's your answer. And like I said a minute ago, this is new for y'all, so if you're not understanding, remember we're going to go over it in class. So don't freak out too much. Okay, so on this one, there's a couple ways that we can do it. I personally like to multiply by the reciprocal. Some people like to divide by the fraction. So on this one, what we want is we want to get c by itself. So on this side, if you'll see, here's the c. We want to get it by itself. So in order to do that, we're going to have to multiply by the reciprocal. And for those of you who do not remember, reciprocal just means that you're going to switch the two numbers. So the numerator is now the denominator, and the denominator is now the numerator. So this is 3/4. And the reason why you do that is because 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So essentially what we're doing is we're making c by itself. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 3/4 times b is 3/4 b.